Hey guys, all right. I want to talk about how I choose a squirrel dog and how I suggest choosing a squirrel dog. My first bit of advice is going to be don't complicate it. Don't get in your head and overthink it. Um, there's a lot of options out there. They're all good. Um, your idea of what you want in a squirrel dog is going to change over the years. When I started fooling around with squirrel dogs and tree dogs about 10 years ago, the dog's style of hunt and everything that I'm looking for now is not the same kind of dog I had then. But that said, that first dog I had was awesome. And it did the job very, very well. So my starting point advice on how do I go about choosing what I need is to get into the Tree Dog podcasts. My favorite one is Tree Talking Time. And you can scroll through all the episodes and you can pick and look for the ones that says squirrel dogs, about squirrel hunting, about your feists, your curs, whatever. And if it says squirrel hunting, you can listen to that episode. And what you get is you get a guy, in most cases, that's been breeding dogs and hunting with squirrel dogs for decades. And you get to listen to them talk about their dogs, their philosophy on hunting, the style of dogs they like for an hour or more. And you can sit there and think the whole time, does this sound like the way I envision hunting working in my area? Does this sound like this kind of dog would be a good fit for me? That is how I would go about figuring out what kind of dog I like. Like an example of my journey in that is, in the beginning I had I had a hybrid dog, part mountain cur, part Jack Russell, great dog. A little small, tangled with coyotes, So I've gotten into some feists, and I like the feists. Again, a little small, hunt more with their eyes, and through the experience hunting with that half mountain cur, I really kind of preferred a dog that worked with its nose a little bit more. And then I'm like, well, I got these coyotes around here. I want a little bit bigger bodied of a dog that can stand up to a fight a little bit better, so the coyotes can't just kill it outright. And I kind of want a dog that hunts more with its nose and its eyes. That is an example of the evolution of tailoring a squirrel dog to your area. And it's gonna change over time. Don't worry about that. Let it change. Great, you've decided on something else you want. Get another dog. Chase that for a while. See how you like that. Make some adjustments. Get another dog. That's totally fine. So, two ways you can go about that once that happens. The good thing is with that podcast, you've got the breeder. So you can contact that breeder. And like I've just recently done, I've contacted about some feists out of Tennessee. I want to give them a go. And so what you can expect if you do that on getting a pup, which I've done this, and this is a surefire way to get a good dog, probably the most guaranteed way, is you get on a waiting list for a puppy from a reputable breeder. You heard on that podcast that those guys aren't gonna put out crap usually, so you can pretty much trust the interviews you hear on those things. And you wait, you get a pup, and you go from there. You train. My advice is if you go that route, get 2 or 3 pups. Not every pup from a litter is going to work out, and if by getting 2 or 3, the odds of you getting one that's going to work out is very high. And if the others work out, great. You got 2 or 3 squirrel dogs to choose from by the time you get to a finished dog, and you can sell the other 2 and make some of your money back on what it costs to feed those. Because that's one of the drawbacks of going that route of the puppy is it takes some time to get to a finished squirrel dog. If like today is the day that you're brand new and you're like, man, I want to get into the squirrel dog thing, and you contact that breeder, like the feists that I called about a few weeks ago in Tennessee, I was told I'm on a list right now, and it's going to be about a year before he calls me and says, all right, I'm ready to take your deposit money. And then it's going to be a little bit more of a wait until I actually go get those pups and pay him the rest of the money. So you're talking at least a year before I even put hands on an 8-week-old puppy. My style of training and hunting is I like to let those dogs mentally mature a little bit before I start hunting them. I'm not one of those guys that wants a dog hunting at 4 or 5 months of age. So I'm feeding that dog for almost another year before I start its hunting. And so by the time from the day you want to start to the day that you get down to how long I like to give it, which I'll give a dog 3 years to make a hunting dog. you're talking that could be 3 or 4 years down the road before you get to the product that you want. And then you have the possibility that it doesn't work out, and by then you're attached to that dog, and maybe if you're like me, you can't keep a dog that doesn't hunt for you, and you got to get rid of a dog that you've bonded with for 3 years. It might be a great pet, it's done nothing wrong other than it doesn't hunt, and that's really hard. It might break the kids' hearts. That's the drawbacks of that approach of getting a squirrel dog. But like I said, very high likelihood it works out. And you also get the added benefit of that as an 8-week-old puppy, you have complete control over how that dog turns out, which is not so with the other way I'm going to suggest, which is what I'm calling the unwanted and the unsold. What I mean by that is you see it on the Facebook groups all the time. Hey, I got this 10-month-old mountain feist, just don't have time for it. I got this 15-month-old mountain cur, just needs hunted. Okay, you can pay attention to those podcasts, and you've got to be careful going this way. You've got to filter through the trash. And my suggestion on how to do that is approach it the same way. Listen to the podcasts, listen to the lines, figure out the lines of dogs that are attractive to you. And then you can hit those groups and you can look for that right situation where one of those dogs that fits that criteria is up in that situation. If let's just say you want a Kimmerker out of a certain guy or something you figured out, and you go onto the dog groups and you put some feelers out. Hey, looking for a Kimmerker for squirrel hunting. You're probably going to get some answers, and it's a matter of time before those answers are, hey, I got one. He's so and so years old, so much age. And breeders out there don't always sell every pup they have, and they love their dogs, and they still have the same genes you're looking for, but they've kept them at their house for a year because they haven't sold, and oftentimes they're willing to get rid of them really cheap. And that's a big plus in that situation. I don't have to spend a year on a waiting list. You're going to probably get a really good price on the dog because they just want to get rid of it. And once you go through a little bit of a obedient / working out the baggage phase with that dog, it's ready to hunt right now. So a good example of this is through listening to that tree talking media, I stumbled across some episodes on treeing Tennessee brindles. And that really sounded like a line of dogs that fits my style of hunting, and I wanted to give them a shot. So I didn't know anything about the dog. It's not as popular as some of the other lines. So I got on Facebook, found a group built around those dogs, and put out, hey, I'm looking to get one of these pups. Who are some decent breeders around, can tell me some stuff about the dogs. And I started getting some answers from people. And then I was actually contacted by one of those breeders that had leftover dogs. Good line of dogs, does a lot of hunting with them. Just for whatever reason, I don't know, had several dogs that were older. This dog was 20 months old, and said, "Hey, this dog is treed on its own. I want it to go to a good hunting family, and if I was willing to drive up to the Midwest to pick it up, he gave me the dog, and so it fit." It fit that line. It wasn't just Billy Bob from the trailer park, 30 miles over with this random ass dog he says is a squirrel dog. It fit that line of, okay, it's the breed, it's the right breed, it's from the right breeder. That had that little bit of a proven history behind it. It was worth me taking the chance on that price because I don't have to feed it. That dog's 20 months old, so it's as soon as I handle the issues that it comes with, that dog's ready to hunt right now, and I'm going to know if it's going to work out. And just so you know, it's working out really well. I still won't unclip him on a leash. I've had him for 2 weeks now, and in the neighborhood, he's treed 4 squirrels with me. I just run with him to the tree, and he trees up and goes nuts. So I'm pretty sure that's going to go carry right over to the woods. The downside in that approach is this dog is going to come with baggage. You get an 8-week-old puppy, you can mold that dog into whatever you want. A 20-month-old dog like I got in my case, and guys, this isn't the only dog I've done this with. I've made I've made 4 or 5 good squirrel and coon dogs using that method. getting a dogs from 6 months old up to 2 years old that turned into great dogs for me. I think if you're careful, I think that method is just as good as going the puppy method, if not better, because you don't have to wait so long to figure out if that dog's going to make it. But I don't know which one's better. I still say the pup's more of a sure deal, but don't ignore this route. But if you're not willing to have the patience to work through the baggage that's going to come with that dog, a 20-month-old dog has had time to develop habits, and you don't know what those habits are, and that's a chance you're willing to take, and it has to be something you're okay with going in, knowing you're going to have to fix it. This Tring Tennessee Brindle I got, he was a big leash puller. Does not come at all when called. I don't know much about what its life was like up there, but he hasn't had any control. Wasn't living in a house. He was living outside. He's crazy. I have to go through a small obedience window with him before I'm ready to take him to the woods to hunt. But I don't see that lasting any more than another month. I've already got the leash pulling broke. Now I'm just getting him trained on the toner to come to me. And once, that's pretty much all the obedience I really demand for a hunting dog is come when called and loose leash walking. I mean, my dogs are family dogs. They sleep in the house at night, so we're working out manners in the home, but that's being done via crate training, and that's a whole nother bear that you can get to in my Squirrel Dog School videos on boundaries. I think I cover crate training. But you have to be committed to having the patience to work through those issues that are going to come with those dogs. And if you don't, then don't go this route, because you're gonna have nothing but problems. So that's my advice on how to pick a squirrel dog.